Okay, so you want to get up to speed on something important quick without wading through tons of info. Well, you're in the right place. Consider this your fast track. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a really serious issue. The, well, billions of dollars that senior citizens lose to scams every single year.
That's right. And we've pulled together information from quite a few places, data from the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, that's the IC3, also insights from the Senate Special Committee on Aging, and analyses from groups like AARP. Our mission here is really to grasp the scale of these losses, identify the biggest scams hitting seniors, and sort of break down how they actually operate, giving you the key info without getting totally bogged down.
Okay, let's dig in then. The sheer amount of money involved.
Sure.
It's honestly staggering. What's the latest estimate? How much are we talking annually?
Well, the most recent data, it's pretty concerning. The FBI's IC3 reported that for 2023, seniors lost somewhere around $3.4 billion. And what really stands out is that's an 11% jump from the year before. That's a big increase.
11%.
Wow.
That's accelerating fast. And $3.4 billion, it's almost hard to picture. But these are real people, right? Real savings.
Oh, absolutely. That number, $3.4 billion, it represents over 101,000 actual seniors who reported these crimes. And if you break it down, the average loss per person, it's a crushing $33,915.
Ooh.
Imagine taking that kind of hit, especially when you're relying on retirement funds.
Yeah, that's devastating. But I remember reading somewhere that these official numbers, they probably don't show the whole picture. There's this underreporting problem, right?
Exactly. You've hit on a key point. Those reported figures,
Yeah.
likely just the tip of the iceberg. An AARP analysis from 2023 suggested that if you factor in the unreported scams, the real annual loss could be, well, closer to $28.3 billion.
Wait, $28 billion.
Yes, an immense figure. So the crucial takeaway is that the official stats, they probably drastically underestimate the real scope of the problem, which just makes it feel even more urgent.
$28.3 billion. That's nearly 10 times the reported amount. Why? Why is there such a huge gap? Why wouldn't someone report being scammed?
There are some deeply personal reasons. Shame is a big one. Feeling embarrassed, maybe foolish for falling for it. And then there's the fear, of losing independence, worrying that family might think they can't manage their own affairs anymore.
Yeah.
And sadly, some seniors just don't know how or where to even report these kinds of things.
That point about fearing loss of independence, that really hits home. Makes you wonder if there's a better way to report, maybe more anonymously. I think I saw some data comparing reporting rates by age, too.
Yes, and it's quite revealing. The data shows, for instance, only about 23% of seniors aged 70 to 79 actually report these losses. Compare that to younger folks, say 20 to 29, where the reporting rate is around 43%, much higher.
Right.
Really highlights that reluctance we see among older adults.
So, okay, even when it is reported, getting the money back must be incredibly tough.
Regrettably, yes. Very difficult. Several things complicate it. Cognitive or physical issues might mean someone doesn't realize they've been scammed right away. Social isolation plays a part, fewer people around to maybe notice something's wrong. And the scammers themselves, they're often very sophisticated, using tactics that are just hard to trace.
And the payment methods they push for?
Yeah.
That doesn't help, I imagine.
Exactly. The growing use of things like cryptocurrency, gift cards, wire transfers, they're almost untraceable because, these digital currencies operate outside the usual banking systems, often anonymously. Reversing a bad transfer, it's incredibly hard.
So once the money's sent that way,
It's often gone for good. Virtually impossible to recover.
it's a really bleak picture. And with the elderly population growing, this problem could just get bigger, couldn't it, if we don't find better ways to tackle it?
That's the critical point, yes. As more people reach their senior years, the potential pool of victims grows. So understanding the most common scams, how they work, how to prevent them, it's more vital than ever.
Right. Okay, let's get into those specifics then. You mentioned 3 main types of scams that are really hitting seniors hard financially. Let's start with investment scams. You said those caused the biggest losses.
Yes, the financial damage here is quite something. The FBI reported that investment scams alone cost seniors over $1 billion in 2023.
$1 billion. Just from investment scams.
Just investment scams. It's a staggering number.
So what kind of investments are we talking about here? What are they selling?
Often they're dressed up as legitimate opportunities, promising, really high returns with very little risk, which should be the first red flag.
Right. too good to be true.
Exactly. Cryptocurrency is a really common vehicle. Now it's complex. There's hype around it. But we also see classic Ponzi schemes, basically paying early investors with money from newer ones, making it look profitable until it collapses.
Okay.
And fake retirement plans, too. Things designed to look official, trustworthy.
And why are seniors such a common target for these specific scams?
Well, a few reasons. Many are on fixed incomes, maybe looking to boost their retirement savings. Makes them receptive to promises of high returns. They might also be, perhaps, a bit more trusting of someone presenting themselves as a financial expert. And sadly, some scammers specifically target those known to have built up savings over a lifetime. The key point is, these scams prey on that desire for financial security in later life.
You mentioned some specific examples from the sources. Illustrated Bibles with royalty shares. That sounds odd.
It does sound odd, yes, but that's how creative they get. They make these fraudulent opportunities sound plausible, even unique. Or property investments requiring urgent action. That plays on the fear of missing out, right? Pushes for a quick decision without proper checking.
Creates pressure. So how do they actually, hook someone? How does it start?
The first contact could be anything, a phone call, an email that looks legit, even a message on social media. They often have fake websites, fake testimonials to build credibility. Then the key is building trust quickly, then applying pressure. Limited time offer, act now. They push for immediate payment, often, like we said, crypto or wire transfers because they're hard to trace.
And then
Then they vanish. Or the investment turns out to be worthless. Sometimes they even run reinvestment scams, give a small fake return early on to convince the victim to put in more money before it all disappears. Really cruel.
And with crypto, once it's sent, that's pretty much it, right? You can't just call your bank.
That's a critical point. The way crypto works, decentralized and often irreversible transactions, makes it perfect for scammers. The victim's chances of getting funds back are almost zero.
Okay. Let's shift to the second big one you mentioned, tech support scams.
Yeah.
These sound especially nasty, playing on people's potential lack of tech confidence.
Yes, and what's interesting here is, while the total dollar amount isn't as high as investment scams, these are actually the most frequently reported type of elder fraud. In 2023, nearly 18,000 people over 60 reported them. Total losses were around $73 million.
So not billions, but hitting a huge number of people.
Exactly. It's a high-volume scam. It really exploits that gap in tech savviness that some seniors might experience.
How do these usually start? What's the trigger?
Often it's a pop-up ad that suddenly appears on their computer screen. Big warnings, flashing lights, virus detected, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've seen those. Scary looking.
Or it could be an unsolicited phone call, someone claiming to be from Microsoft or Apple or their internet provider saying there's a problem with their computer. The goal is to convince the senior to grant them remote access to the device.
Remote access. That sounds incredibly dangerous, giving a stranger control of your computer.
It is. Once they have that access, they can basically do anything. They'll often run fake diagnostic scans, point to normal system files, and claim they're viruses or errors. Then they demand payment hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for unnecessary services to fix these made-up problems.
And it might not even stop there.
No. Sometimes they install actual malware, maybe ransomware, that locks the computer until more money is paid, or they just silently steal financial information, passwords, bank details in the background.
That's awful. And you mentioned something about fake refunds, too.
Yeah, another nasty twist. They might call back later, claiming they accidentally overcharged and need bank details to issue a refund. But it's just another ploy to get access to accounts or trick the person into sending more money somehow.
It really highlights how someone could feel panicked if they're not tech savvy and someone official sounding tells them their computer's infected.
Precisely. That combination of trusting authority figures and maybe being unfamiliar with cybersecurity makes seniors very vulnerable here.
Okay, the third major one, government impersonation scams. These also prey on fear, right? Pretending to be the IRS or Social Security.
Definitely. They leverage that inherent respect for, and maybe fear of, government authority. Back in 2021, these cost seniors about $122 million. But looking across all age groups for 2023, total reported losses hit $2.7 billion. Seniors are a big part of that. They pretend to be from the IRS, Social Security Administration, Medicare, you name it. The key is impersonating someone official.
Playing on that fear of getting in trouble. That's potent. How do these usually kick off?
Again, phone calls are common, but also emails, text messages. They'll claim you owe back taxes, or your Social Security number's been compromised and benefits will stop, or you're under investigation. The crucial thing is creating urgency, panic. Threats of arrest, freezing assets, legal action if you don't pay immediately.
And the payment method they demand. Let me guess.
You got it. Wire transfers, gift cards, crypto. There's hard to trace methods again. They'll give very specific instructions on how to buy gift cards or send crypto.
It's so important to remember, isn't it, that agencies like the IRS, they almost never call out of the blue demanding money.
That's a vital takeaway. The IRS initiates almost all contact by mail first. An unexpected call demanding payment and threatening arrest, huge red flag. And what's really concerning now is the use of AI. Scammers are using AI-generated voices that can sound incredibly convincing, even mimicking known officials.
AI voices. Wow. That makes it even harder to tell what's real.
It does. Technology is making impersonation much more sophisticated. It really boils down to manipulating emotions, playing on fear and trust to get people to act without thinking.
Absolutely. Masters of manipulation.
Yeah.
So we've covered the what and the how. Let's circle back a bit to why. Why are seniors targeted so consistently? Is it just about money?
Accumulated savings, owning a home, maybe having good credit, those definitely make seniors financially attractive targets, yes. But it's more than just that. Often there's a trusting nature, maybe from growing up in a different era, more polite, less likely to hang up abruptly or question someone forcefully.
That's an interesting point about politeness, yeah. A different sort of social default.
Exactly. And unfortunately, social isolation can be a factor too. Fewer friends or family around day to day might mean no one's there to spot a scam early on. Cognitive or physical impairments, sadly, can also affect judgment, make it harder to recognize those warning signs. And like we talked about with tech support, that lack of familiarity with current technology and online threats is definitely exploited.
And the scammers, they seem to really tailor their tactics to hit these specific vulnerabilities.
They absolutely do, those high-pressure tactics, designed to bypass rational thought, stop people from checking with family or advisors. They use emotional triggers, the classic grandchild in trouble scam, threats about health, legal problems, all aimed at getting an immediate emotional reaction. And they're using tech AI, robocalls, to scale up their efforts while demanding payment in ways that minimize their own risk.
We've talked a lot about the money, the billions lost, but the real impact, it goes way beyond the financial hit, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. For seniors who lose significant savings, it can mean losing their home, not being able to afford health care, becoming dependent on family. It erodes their independence, their dignity. You can only imagine the sense of betrayal, the loss.
And the emotional toll,
Mm-hmm.
the shame, the anxiety must be enormous.
It is. Victims often feel deep shame, anxiety, depression. Some become really fearful, distrustful. It can seriously impact their quality of life. And that shame, as we discussed with underreporting, often stops them from even telling anyone, let alone seeking help. It's a vicious cycle.
Truly damaging. And just to underscore the scale again with that underreporting, the real annual cost might be over $10 billion.
That's the potential scale, yes. If, as many experts suspect, maybe only half or even fewer incidents get reported, the true financial cost could easily be double the official figures, well into the tens of billions.
And there was that really sobering statistic that often the abuser, the scammer, is someone the senior knows.
Tragically, yes. Data suggests that in a vast majority of elder abuse cases, something like 90%, the perpetrator is an acquaintance or even a family member.
Wow.
That just adds a whole other layer of devastation and betrayal.
So given all this, what can actually be done? What concrete steps can seniors, their families, take to protect themselves?
Well, education is really key. Making seniors aware of the common red flags, unsolicited calls or emails, pressure for immediate decisions, demands for payment by gift card or crypto, just knowing what to look for. Family involvement is also huge. Talking openly about scams, maybe setting up code words for emergencies, helping monitor accounts for weird activity, just staying connected.
Are there specific tech tools that can help?
Yes, some things can help. Credit monitoring services can alert you to suspicious activity. Call blocking apps can filter out a lot of those scam robocalls. And just basic digital hygiene, right? Being cautious about clicking links, not sharing personal info online or over the phone unless you're absolutely sure who you're dealing with.
And what about reporting? If someone thinks they have been targeted, what should they do?
Report it promptly, even if no money was lost. Contact the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3. Also, local law enforcement. Getting the money back might be tough, like we said, but reporting helps authorities track these scams, build cases, and warn others.
And it sounds like there are broader efforts, too, from government and other groups.
Definitely. Things like the IRS's Security Summit work to raise awareness. Many state agencies, like New York's Department of State, offer specific consumer protection tips for seniors. The core advice is always, Verify. Verify any communication asking for money or personal info. Don't share sensitive data over the phone if they called you. Talk to a trusted advisor before big financial moves. And community support helps too. Things like fraud prevention classes at senior centers can really empower people.
It's clearly a complex problem, no easy answers. But just understanding the scale, the tactics,
Yeah.
that feels like a crucial first step for protecting ourselves, our loved ones.
It really is. Those staggering losses, $2.9 billion reported, potentially over $10 billion in reality. It's a stark reminder. And knowing the main types, investment, tech support, government impersonation, and how they work, using manipulation, fake urgency, untraceable payments, it's essential knowledge.
And like we said, it's not just money. It hits people's dignity, their security, their basic right to age without being exploited.
Exactly. Which leads to a final thought, maybe for you, our listener, to mull over. Considering how sophisticated these scams are getting and all the reasons why they're so underreported, what fundamental changes, in how society thinks, or the support systems we have, or even the technology,
Yeah.
what changes are really needed to truly shield our elders from these financial predators?
That's a powerful question to leave us with. What really needs to change?